They say a man's home is his castle. For me, that castle wasn't stone or brick. It was wood, steel, soil, and sweat. My ranch was everything. Acres of rolling land stretching under the wide Texas sky. Horses grazing in the pasture. Cattle lowing in the distance. Dogs patrolling near the fence. Every sunrise felt like a reward for a life built on honest work. But peace is a fragile thing, and it only takes one arrogant neighbor to shatter it. In my case, that neighbor wasn't just any person. She was Karen, the self-appointed queen of a nearby HOA. And when Karen looked at my land, she didn't see private property. She saw a shortcut, a prize, something she could take. It started subtly. 1 or 2 cars from the neighborhood cutting through the dirt road that wound past my barns. I figured maybe it was a lost delivery driver or a confused visitor. But it kept happening. SUVs, sedans, even bikes. My land was slowly being treated like public property. Then, one evening, I caught the ringleader herself. Karen. Blonde bob, big sunglasses, nails that could scratch paint, and an ego too big to fit in her shiny new SUV. She didn't just drive through, she smashed through. My gate bent inward like tin foil. My cattle scattered in fear. I stormed out, waving my arms, but she just rolled her window down, smiled, and shouted, "Community easement, you can't stop us?" Then she gunned the engine and vanished in a cloud of dust. That night, I stood over the wreckage of my gate and realized I wasn't dealing with carelessness. I was dealing with arrogance weaponized. And that's when the real war began. I replaced the gate the next morning. Stronger posts, thicker steel, fresh lock. For a day, it stood untouched. Then, just after dark, I heard it again. Bang. The sound echoed through the pasture like a gunshot. By the time I reached the road, Karen's SUV taillights were already disappearing. My brand new gate was on the ground. I repaired it again, and every time she tore it down, but it didn't stop there. The HOA started sending me letters, bright envelopes stamped with violation notice, fines for blocking community access, charges for unapproved landscaping, even fees for failure to maintain shared property. Shared property? This was my land, handed down to me, deed and all. I called the sheriff. He came out, took a look, and shook his head. "Son, you're in the right. But unless I catch them in the act, all I can do is write a report. Best advice? Get proof." Proof, that word stuck with me. Meanwhile, Karen grew bolder. She started bringing her HOA board along for joyrides, midnight convoys barreling across my land, headlights scattering cattle, engines roaring. My dogs barked until their throats were raw. My kids clung to their blankets in fear. Neighbors started whispering too. "Don't mess with Karen," they warned. "She'll bleed you dry with lawsuits. She's got friends on the board." I didn't care. This was my ranch, my family's legacy. No smug president with a clipboard was going to bully me off it. But I knew one thing. Yelling wouldn't stop her. Cops wouldn't stop her. Fines wouldn't stop her. So I started planning something that would. I spent weeks designing it. A gate that looked ordinary, but wasn't. First, I dug deep. 6 feet into the ground, reinforced concrete footers. Then I set steel posts thick enough to stop a truck. I welded crossbeams, bolted steel plates, and painted it all the same weathered green so it blended in. From a distance, it looked like just another ranch gate. But it wasn't going anywhere. Not this time. I also wired cameras to trees and fence posts hidden from sight. Motion sensors triggered lights that would flare on the moment anyone approached, and every inch was tied to a recorder in my barn. If Karen hit me again, I'd have the proof the sheriff needed, and the justice I deserved. The first night it stood, I barely slept. I sat in my truck near the barn, engine off, eyes locked on the road. Hours passed, crickets chirped, coyotes howled. Midnight came and went. Then, at nearly 1 a.m., I saw them. Headlights cresting the hill. Karen's SUV leading the pack. My heart hammered. She sped up, clearly planning to smash through like always. I whispered to myself, "Not this time." Her SUV hit the gate with a thunderous crack. Metal screamed, airbags exploded. Her car crumpled like a tin can. The gate, it didn't even flinch. I stepped out of the shadows as the dust settled. Karen sat frozen, wide-eyed, airbag deflated against her face. Her board members climbed out of their cars, stunned into silence. I raised my phone, camera rolling, and said the words I'd been waiting weeks to say, "Smile for the evidence." The sheriff arrived within minutes. Real cops this time. They took one look at the wrecked SUV and the untouched gate, then at me, holding the deed and camera footage, and nodded. Karen tried to bluster. "This is community property. He's blocking an easement." The sheriff cut her off. "Ma'am, this is his land. The only thing blocked here is your respect for the law." She sputtered, but the cuffs came out. "Trespassing, destruction of property, reckless endangerment." The board members scattered like rats. But Karen wasn't done. "Oh no, she hired a lawyer, filed a lawsuit, claimed my gate was illegal, that I was the one harassing her. Fine, let's dance." In court, Karen strutted in like she owned the place. Her lawyer spun tales about historic access rights and community necessity. Then it was my turn. I rolled in the footage, every midnight trespass, every smashed gate, every bogus fine. I handed over the deed, survey maps, county records. Line by line, I proved the road was mine, the land was mine, the right was mine. Finally, I dropped the hammer. Not only is this my property, but the very road Karen claims as community easement. It's listed under my deed. Always has been. The courtroom went silent. Karen's face drained of color. The judge leaned forward, voice like steel. "Case dismissed. Defendant awarded damages. HOA is hereby barred from access to the plaintiff's property." The gavel slammed. And just like that, Karen's empire collapsed. Word spread fast. Neighbors who once cowered under Karen's rule now whispered in relief. The board fractured, members resigning one by one. Fines disappeared, lawsuits crumbled, the HOA dead in the water. As for Karen, her shiny SUV never left the tow yard. Last I heard, she sold her house and moved away. But me? My ranch stood stronger than ever. The gate still stands, steel and concrete, a monument to one truth: you don't mess with a man's land. When I sit on my porch at dusk, watching the sky burn orange, I remember every sleepless night, every letter, every threat, and I remember the sound of her SUV slamming into justice she never saw coming. The real victory wasn't the gate, or even the court win. It was the moment Karen and her board learned the one lesson they'd spent years ignoring. A deed beats a clipboard. A rancher's resolve beats an HOA's arrogance. And sometimes, the trap you never saw coming is the one that finally sets you free.